Well, there's a Riyadh comedy festival. I don't know if you heard about that. This is true. There's a Riyadh, Saudi Arabia comedy festival.
I don't know that I want to go to a dinner with someone who's going to talk endlessly about the Antichrist.
But yet you'll go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, of course.
And perform.
Of course.
All right, guys. So if you weren't aware, there is a huge comedy festival taking place in Saudi Arabia called the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I think it's going on for about 2 weeks. So this started on Friday. But this is Saudi Arabia's attempt to expand their tourism and entertainment sector. It's just Saudi Arabia doing Saudi Arabian things, kind of like what they did with Live Golf and their soccer league, just grossly overpaying people to clean up its image around the globe. So just think of any American comedian off the top of your head. They're probably in this comedy festival. You have people like Aziz Ansari, Pete Davidson, Louis C.K., Whitney Cummings, Tom Segura. So some of the usual suspects, and of course Bobby Lee, who would probably let a Saudi prince eat Fruit Loops out of his belly button just free of charge, pro bono. And then you have people like Chris Tucker, who was like boys with Jeffrey Epstein, so not a big shock there. But then you have these other comedians who are really seen as hypocritical because some of them have dipped their toes into politics, and then there's others that have just dove headfirst, like Andrew Schultz. And then you have Bill Burr, and without a doubt, he is seen as the most hypocritical because for a lot of left-leaning people, he has been viewed as this resistance figure, resisting the Joe Rogan podcast bros, speaking out saying, hey, you guys don't know what you're talking about, stick to jokes.
Dude, there's an ugliness that's out there right now where, you know, there's certain podcasts out there that if you're a racist, if you're an anti-Semite, if you're a psycho-nationalist and you want a softball interview, there's podcasts out there where you can, and they will laugh at your fucking bad jokes and just give you this pass. Dude, it was before that. I remember the first time I saw a president go on the Tonight Show. I thought it was cheapening The Office. It's like they never did that. Now that everybody has a camera and blah, 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 it's just so all over the place. I just think the landscape of it has changed. All I can say is personally, I would never do it. I would never have somebody come on that's running for fucking president with my intellect.
He has even mocked this exact scenario that he's in, talking about comedians selling out to Saudi Arabia and taking their blood money.
Because no one ever raises money for terrorists, right? I guess, unless you do a comedy show in like Saudi Arabia. Isn't that what they do? You know, that's how they raise money with their filthy fucking oil money.
Tim Dillon was another one who was on the ticket, keyword was, and that was until he was removed for mentioning on his podcast that Saudis had slaves. And the most ironic part about this is he wasn't even really saying this in a negative light. I'm paraphrasing, but he essentially said, Saudis have slaves, and I respect that. They're hard workers.
And then he called me a few days later, and I thought he was going to talk about the Kimmel thing. But he called me and he said, they heard what you said about them having slaves. And I said, I was being positive about it. I was defending them. He goes, well, I know that. I know you were defending them. I said, I was defending them for having slaves. I literally said, slaves are probably hard workers and for the most part, agreeable. But they didn't like that. You can literally support somebody too much. I've learned this. You can actually, by the way, in life, this happens. Too many compliments, too much support, and then they turn on you.
And so they're so sensitive and concerned with their image that simply bringing any attention to it was enough for them to take him off the ticket. Even though it's pretty well common knowledge. I'm sure many of these comedians were already on high alert about this, but this just takes it to another level that's like, oh, if I say if I'm not on my P's and Q's, I might not be making it back to America, which has to be unfortunate for the audience that's going to be at this show because these sets are going to be so watered down, which, by the way, Tim Dillon should feel lucky that he got removed because last time I checked, Saudi Arabia doesn't really, how do I say this? They're not really pro-LGBTQ. Just saying. Before his removal, Tim Dillon was showing no shame that he was going to be in this comedy festival. Like, I felt like he was bragging about how he was taking the Saudi blood money, saying, you would take it too, you weren't invited. And it was actually hilarious because on his most recent episode of JRE, Joe shames him for agreeing to be in this comedy festival. And Tim doubles down. He's like, oh yeah, of course, I had to go. But this came right after Tim said he would never take a dinner with Peter Thiel, when Joe said he'd already had 2 dinners with Peter Thiel.
Didn't you get invited to have lunch or something, or dinner with Peter?
Yes, I said no.
Did you?
I said no. I'm a little wary of that circle of people, and I'm not saying there's anything inherently evil about them, because obviously there's people in there. I don't know that I want to go to a dinner with someone who's going to talk endlessly about the Antichrist.
But yet you'll go to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, of course.
And perform.
Of course.
I've been to Peter's house twice.
Yeah.
I went once with dinner with Eric Weinstein. I forget who else. And then the second time he brought me in because they were going to have lunch with Eric Von Daniken.
Oh, the guy, the Chariots of the Gods.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah. I'm in. And I know so much about that.
Yeah.
So I was asking him all these questions.
I'm sure.
So it was just the Spider-Man meme, just 2 grown men finger pointing like, you're the sellout. No, you're the sellout. I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny. Speaking of sellouts, you also have Kevin Hart, one of the biggest entertainers arguably of all time, also performing in this festival, who allegedly has a net worth of $500 million. So you would think the blood money bag has to be so insane. But Tim Dillon, of course, opened his mouth and revealed how much he was offered and how much other people were offered. And I was kind of shocked.
People might say to me, hey, you're coming out and saying you're doing the Saudi thing for money. They're paying you a lot of money. I'm not going to tell you how much they're paying me. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how much they're paying me. $375,000 for one show. Now, a lot of other people are getting $1.6 million. That's not me. I'm not in that bracket. But they're giving me $375,000. Others are getting $150,000. Why are they doing it?
$100,000 to $1.5 million is amazing money to make in a single performance. This would be life-changing money for so many people. But for comedians, for A-list comedians, this isn't that far off from what they would make in a night in the US. And someone actually leaked Theo Von's pay stub or check or whatever you want to call it. And he made $200K in a single night just domestically here in the United States. Unless Saudi Arabia is also giving a piece of the oil fields, it's just sad that they're accepting this when they can make essentially just as much at home, if not in one night, in a week, a couple weeks. Also, when you consider how much more Saudi Arabia is paying the golfers in LIV, how much they're paying Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo, his contract is worth $700 million and he gets 15% stake of the team that he plays for. But on the flip side, you have comedians who turn down the opportunity and are speaking out against the people that did. Marc Maron's reputation has done a full 180 in about 6 months. He went from being clowned for being bitter over all of Rogan's success to becoming the adult in the room who actually stands on his morals and has been flaming the whole event and everyone that's a part of it.
Well, there's a Riyadh Comedy Festival. I don't know if you heard about that. This is true. There's a Riyadh, Saudi Arabia Comedy Festival. I mean, how do you even promote that? You know, like, from the folks that brought you 9/11, 2 weeks of laughter in the desert. Don't miss it. I mean, the same guy that's going to pay them is the same guy that paid that guy to bonesaw Jamal Khashoggi and put him in a fucking suitcase. But don't let that stop the yucks. It's going to be a good time. Full disclosure, I was not asked to perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival, so it's kind of easy for me to take the high road on this one. Easy to maintain your integrity when no one's offering to buy it out, you know.
Shane Gillis is another one who turned it down and is making out a bandit like he always does, and says he had to turn it down multiple times. He got multiple different offers.
Yeah, there was it's tight. They just went to the desert and just fucking
They were
vibed
asking
out.
me to go to the Middle East soon.
What? Where? Why?
Saudi Arabia and UAE or Dubai.
Dubai?
I think I'm gonna pass.
Yeah. For the troops? Is it for the troops?
Not for the troops. It's for the Saudis.
For the Saudi princes?
Yeah, and everyone's like, yeah, you should do it. Everyone's doing it. It's like, for Saudis?
Yeah.
Weren't those the 9/11 guys?
So I thought.
Aren't they exactly the 9/11 guys?
Then you have Stavi, who also turned down the festival. And if you've been following Stavi at all, he has gone full savage mode, just calling out comedians straight to their face for everything and anything, all the bullshit. And it has been simply poetic.
September 5th, and then September 11th, theater at MSG, and then September 27th, Saudi Arabia with...
Oh, you fucking piece of shit. You're all fucking pieces of shit. We're gonna stone Sam.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Jessica Kirsten's getting it first, right? What the hell?
He's not leaving, I'll tell you that.
Oh, fuck.
It's gonna be hard to do crowd work with that burqa.
Everyone doing everyone, all the people cleaning your sheets are just Filipino slaves.
They're doing it too, right?
I am.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
October 8th. I figured the 7th would have been in poor taste, so I'm doing the 8th.
What?
Jesus, it takes place on October 7th. You guys are in Riyadh on October 7th.
I realize that.
I'm on the 8th. I'm there on the 8th.
Oh my God.
What is going on the 7th? You're going to be doing remembrance posts from Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, from Saudi Arabian airspace.
So the moral of the story here is, guys, do not listen to comedian podcasters for your political commentary, which unfortunately I know some people do. But here's the rule of thumb. If a guy runs boner pills and sports gambling ads on their podcast, they should not be holding any weight in the way that you vote. But anyway, that's the video, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think.